They serve their country with pride and honor, but tonight they tell us they've been betrayed by their leaders, betrayed by the California National Guard.
This is about critical medical benefits and those who can't get any answers. For years, Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski breaking the story this evening. And Tony, what exactly are these Guard members asking for here?
Well, Raj, they want an answer from this man, General David Baldwin, the man in charge of the California National Guard. Our investigation has found a major breakdown in the Guard's handling of line-of-duty injury investigations. They served our country. Tonight, we investigate why they're left waiting for answers.
It's incredibly frustrating.
He served his country for more than a decade, including time with the California National Guard.
You decided to leave the Guard. Why?
Because I'm embarrassed to have ever been a part of it.
They don't care.
He wore a uniform for 24 years as a Guardsman and as a Marine, Army soldier, and airman, including flying supplies into Baghdad during the Iraq War.
Was your life on the line when you were going in and out of there?
Every day. Every day.
When you joined the military, did you ever expect to be in this situation?
I did not.
He served in Kuwait during an 8-year assignment in the Guard.
In your opinion, do you deserve better?
I think all service members deserve better.
Their stories are different, but these members of the California National Guard also have one thing in common.
My name is Michael Sternberg.
My name is Ryan Zarek.
My name is Daniel Drazen.
And I've been waiting for a completed line of duty determination for more than 4 years.
For nearly 2 years.
Took more than 6 years.
Their connection centers on illness and injuries they say they sustained while in service to their country, and on a National Guard process called a line of duty, or LOD. Think of it as a workers' comp decision. An LOD is the gateway to medical care, health benefits, and financial support for service members injured on the job. And here's the problem. Regulations state the Guard must complete LOD investigations in 75 days or less.
Did the Guard meet that deadline?
Not by a long shot, no.
Sternberg says he made his first official LOD request back in 2011. He cited a series of medical conditions and injuries he says he sustained while serving on active duty and in the Guard. In total, he's requested 7 LOD investigations. He says none met the military's deadlines.
And the reason I'm coming to you is because I've exhausted pretty much every administrative remedy that I can.
He says numerous letters to the Guard and state and federal lawmakers failed to produce answers. In May, the Guard responded to an inquiry from U.S. Senator Barbara Boxer's office and blamed much of the delay on Sternberg's failure to produce requested documents. It's a claim Sternberg denies. But the Guard also admitted that Sternberg's unit failed to initiate an LOD investigation for an alleged injury that happened back in August of 2011. The report was not started until March of 2013.
Are you surprised to know that Mr. Sternberg is frustrated with the system?
Not after speaking with him, no, sir.
The Guard designated Lieutenant Alan Downey to investigate one of Sternberg's LODs. We've learned it was overdue before it even crossed Downey's desk.
And I could see from the documents dated, years ago, that I knew that this was a long time in the making.
Help me understand why this hasn't been resolved in more than 4 years.
I wish I had a good answer for you, other than my suspicion all along has been that this is a systemic problem.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that this process is completely broken and does not work for anyone.
California Guard records obtained by NBC Bay Area provide insight into the delays. This February 2013 memo includes California has over 1,300 overdue LODs and is the highest number of LODs by any state in the nation. A weekly snapshot shows that in February 2015, up to 88% of all LODs were overdue.
I'm not surprised. It doesn't even shock me. It's status quo.
Ben Bonks is the business manager for the union that represents Guard members.
The regulations are there. Nobody's following them.
He says he's heard the same story from dozens of soldiers and airmen, that the National Guard has failed to complete their LODs.
And I get emotional and I get frustrated because I know a lot of these people.
The investigative unit also obtained this database from the California Army Guard. We crunched the numbers and found over the past 6 years, 73% of all completed LODs missed the deadline. And this may be more troubling. Of all filed LOD requests, 59% of those files were never completed. And because of significant tracking deficiencies, there is no way to know why many LOD requests were essentially ignored.
You know, these folks, they serve their country. They deserve better.
So why the delay? The investigative unit requested an interview with Adjutant General David Baldwin, the man in charge of the California National Guard. The general declined to answer questions raised in this investigation or by members of his guard. Instead, a spokesperson released this statement, reading in part, "The well-being of our soldiers and airmen is the California National Guard's highest priority."
General Baldwin is personally aware of what's going on, and it seems to me that he's not taking his responsibilities seriously to make sure that the rules are followed and that they're followed within the required timelines.
But for these Guard members, it's more than a failure to meet a deadline. The delays have taken a toll on their finances, their personal lives, and their families. After serving our country, they believe they simply deserve an answer.
What's that saying to you every day?
It wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth it.
Why can they not fix this system?
Angry?
Yes.
Now, Michael Sternberg finally received an answer about some of his LODs. During our investigation, the Guard issued a series of decisions in July and August, 4.5 years after Sternberg says he submitted the request. Ultimately, his LODs were denied. He now plans to appeal. Now, the Guard has acknowledged it has problems meeting deadlines, but says it has reduced the overdue LODs by 70%. The Guard says it is now taking steps to address the delays, but declined to provide any specifics.
They fought overseas, and for many, their fight continues here at home. Members of the National Guard struggling to get some answers about critical benefits requests that they've made.
Now, we first broke the story of how the California Guard is letting down its soldiers and airmen. Tonight, Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski is back with us. And Tony, you say the problem has grown beyond the California Guard.
Yes, it has, Jess and Raj. We've discovered a national problem impacting thousands of military men and women, service members waiting months and even years for that critical paperwork. Now we investigate a 50-state backlog, a problem the Guard has known about for years.
They served in war zones.
I heard a big explosion. I felt it in my feet.
At times, narrowly surviving.
There are mortar attacks daily.
But for these Guardsmen, the real fight started when they returned home.
The part that was hard for me to take is not the combat, but coming back with the injuries and then being pretty much thrown away by the Guard.
They've all battled the National Guard for answers to their line of duty investigations, or LODs. An LOD determines if a Guard member's illness or injury happened while in service to the country. An approved LOD entitles a Guard member to hospital benefits and financial compensation if they need medical help in the future. Military regulations state the Guard must complete LODs 75 days after an incident, but records analyzed by the NBC Bay Area investigative unit show it's taking a lot longer.
And I've been waiting for a completed line of duty determination for more than 4 years.
For nearly 2 years.
More than 6 years.
And we found the California National Guard has failed to meet LOD deadlines. At one point this year, 88% of all LODs in the state were overdue. Now we've uncovered it's not just the California Guard. From South Carolina to New Mexico to Florida, service members are waiting.
5 months.
More than 3 years.
For over 9 years.
Waiting for answers to their LODs. National Guard maps we obtained reveal a critical problem across the country. In January 2013, LODs in the Army Guard were backlogged in every single state in the nation. The overdue rate reached 99% in some places. By April 2015, that backlog decreased, but half the states still had overdue LOD rates greater than 60%. Behind the statistics are the service members, like Staff Sergeant Roger Reese of the Florida National Guard.
It was just a nightmare.
He says the military failed to start his LODs when he blew a disc in his back on a training mission in 2004. And after an IED blast in Iraq in 2005 caused hearing loss and a concussion. Reese says because he didn't have proper documentation, he couldn't access the military's financial benefits when he needed surgery.
Months and months will go by that I knew the Guard was violating the regulations and flat ignoring me.
Nearly a decade after his injuries, Reese discovered the Guard closed out one of his LODs and completed the other one with inaccurate information twice.
No soldier should have to go through this.
The problem affects so many soldiers. Earlier this year, Congress asked the Government Accountability Office to review the National Guard's LOD system.
This is a long-standing issue.
Brenda Farrell, the GAO's Director of Defense Capabilities and Management, conducted an investigation and released this report back in July.
We believe that the data speaks very loudly that there is a problem.
Nearly 3/4 of the LODs she analyzed in the Army National Guard did not meet military deadlines.
You issued your report in July. It's now November. Are you seeing any result?
We have not seen anything that shows a plan of action as we've recommended.
In fact, the GAO recommended an LOD action plan 5 years ago, but Farrell has yet to see it.
Is that acceptable from your perspective?
This is something that needs careful oversight. They need an action plan of how to reduce the backlog, and they need to move quickly and put someone in charge.
The GAO report makes it clear there is a problem, and we've heard from members of the military in California and throughout the country that talk about living that problem. Well, here in Arlington, Virginia, we came to ask the National Guard Bureau how it's going to fix the problem. Our request for an interview declined.
The National Guard Bureau says the Department of Defense is updating the policy on LODs. The DoD declined to provide details about the new policy or when it will be implemented. In a statement, the NGB says it reduced the backlog by nearly 20% in the past 2 years, adding, "We are optimistic that the delinquencies will significantly improve." But the Guard has provided few details about why it has failed to meet LOD deadlines. Guard officials say service members add delays by reporting their injuries late. Insiders have pointed to problems with the computer tracking system.
It's not that difficult. You can get it done in a timely manner, and there's no excuse or no reason for the delay.
Attorney Jason Perry processed LODs in the Massachusetts National Guard. Now he represents members of the military. Perry started this online forum as a clearinghouse for frustrated Guard members fighting for a resolution to their LODs.
You have to hold commanders accountable and say, look, if you do not meet your obligations to take care of our soldiers and our airmen, you're not going to have a job any longer.
As their own jobs with the National Guard draw to a close, these soldiers and airmen say the Guard let them down.
They turned their back on me. What did I do to deserve this?
I'm kind of ashamed to say that I served in the Guard.
I love the Guard. I was a good guardsman. I spent 20 years in the military. But at the same time, until the problems are corrected, I wouldn't recommend anybody going. I want the problems to be corrected, and I want to take pride in what I did and what others did.
Both the Florida Guard and the New Mexico Guard say they've recently hired additional medical providers to help process LODs. The California Guard says it has significantly reduced the LOD backlog, and in August, during our investigation, it increased LOD training across the state. Bottom line, stay tuned. Everybody looking for a solution. Federal government putting a strong piece of pressure on what's happening.